our Pivot in Progress episode. And sorry, we starting slightly late because of a small technical glitch. Happens to the best of us. But thank you so much for taking time out and joining us for this very special and very critical session that we are doing based on popular demand from our audience, our community at Pivot, which is around navigating the UAE job market as an immigrant in 2026. Obviously, we are all aware of various kinds of flux related factors related to whether it's the war, the layoffs, impact of AI, uh, and then obviously other things that might be happening on the ground. So we have somebody with us who's had a decent amount of experience in the UAE job market and works in the recruitment field there. So we have invited him. He's just behind the stage with us. We are going to be bringing him on stage very soon. All right, here we go. Hi Rajesh, welcome again. How are you?
Hi Arjun. Hi everyone. I'm doing well. Thank you for having me. Thanks, Arjun.
Absolutely. So, Rajesh, thanks for making time for this. I think it's one of the most important questions that we get asked at Pivot today, which is, how are things going on from a job market perspective in UAE and the broader Middle East market as well? And I think you are well qualified given your background and on ground experience in the space. So let's start maybe with a quick round of intros. I will quickly go first and then I'll turn it over to you and have you share your background as well. So for
Uh,
those who don't know me, my name is Arjun and I'm the founder at Pivot. So we have been working with mid-career professionals, helping them achieve different types of inflection point career goals when they are transitioning. Could be changing their level in the organization, sometimes their industry, their domain as well. But many a times it's also their country. And that is one of the key topics for today's discussion around navigating the UAE job market. So we'll dive deeper into what all Pivot does, how it helps folks like you. But before that, I'll just turn it over to Rajesh. Rajesh, if you could just go ahead and share a little bit about your journey so far and what you do today, that'd be great.
Absolutely. Thanks, Arjun. Hi everyone. My name is Rajesh Bhagwat. Quick about me. I come from Mumbai. Started my career. I'm a computer engineer. Started with Accenture. Post that, I did my postgrad from London School of Economics, and then I chose to work with startups versus going and joining any consulting firm. So I started in edtech, worked with couple of startups. Like I was with a startup called Zaya Learning Lab, which was solving for blended learning for primary schools in Mumbai. That's where I started. Post that, I joined a company called Northwest Executive Education, which deals in executive education, which offers executive programs from some of the top-notch U.S. universities, Ivy League universities like Harvard, Yale, Chicago Booth School of Business, etc., in Southeast Asia. And then I joined a company called Edcast. It was into edtech slash learn tech, you can call it. I joined that company at a very early stage when we were just globally 10 people. It was headquartered. I mean, the company got headquartered. It was headquartered in Silicon Valley. It got incubated in Stanford University. So I reached out to the CEO and pretty much joined it as a first person in Asia Pacific. I stayed there for 6 years, pretty much until we raised more than $110 million, and then eventually 6 years I was responsible for growing the business in Asia Pacific, Middle East, and Africa. We grew that business here in the region to a substantial scale. Grew that team to more than 250 people in the region, and that company eventually got acquired by Cornerstone On Demand, which is owned by one of the large PE firm. Before, like just after that acquisition, I joined a company called Eightfold AI. So again, this is in talent. We help organizations to solve for the talent. The company's mission here is to enable right career for everyone in the world. Here also, I pretty much joined as the first go-to-market person in Asia Pacific. I started again in Mumbai, then I moved to Singapore. I was there for a couple of years, and last year I moved to Dubai. So I'm responsible for growth in Asia Pacific and Middle East. So I myself is an immigrant, and that's why I think topic deeply resonates with me. So as a company, Eightfold AI, we also help a lot of large organizations to solve for their challenges around hiring, uh, talent acquisition. So pretty much, I mean, the topic is quite close to what I do as a person also, and pretty much I myself being an immigrant, I can uh, maybe share my story and maybe share what I'm seeing around here in the market. So that's a little bit about me. I think that should suffice. I'm quite looking forward to the conversation.
Likewise, likewise. Thank you so much for sharing the journey. And sounds like Rajesh, you are at the intersection of both, the geographical experience that people need to understand how the market on ground is working today. Plus, you have the subject matter background as well from a recruitment HR perspective too. So I think both of those intersect really well with the kind of topic we have for understanding the UAE market today. See, let's start with the kind of 10,000 feet level view, which is there is just a sea change happening in the job market all across the globe, not necessarily any one market, to be very honest. But now, given the recent events in Middle East and UAE especially, there's an additional factor perhaps in that specific region that is impacting how job markets are going to work. So I just wanted to start at the level of understanding what are some of the key trends in addition to the ones that we are already aware of, plus obviously the new ones related to war, related to AI, related to layoffs that might be happening. Uh, how are they shaping the current UAE job market? If you can maybe structure that for us in the beginning, that would be helpful.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I think great question, and let me first share the very high level perspective. I mean, UAE as I mean, as a economy, it's very I would say it's very resilient, very robust. It has always bounced back. If you look at 2008 crisis, you look at COVID, you look at Russia Ukraine conflict. I mean, every single time there was a some geopolitical conflict, it has impacted UAE, and UAE has always bounced back stronger and uh, faster. So this is no different. I mean, we all saw this started in Feb. March was, I would say, I wouldn't call this as a, UAE job market or the market here is broken, but I mean, it simply hit a short pause, is what I would say. Uh, and historically, UAE has shown that it has, as I said, it rebounds faster than most of the economies around. So let me share a few trends because I talk to talent leaders quite often, and what I'm seeing here in the market. Uh, First, I mean, definitely the way I see, look at it. One is a geopolitical conflict, and second is how AI is impacting hiring. AI is impacting. I mean, we are seeing the layoffs, we are seeing the consolidation, things like that, right? So hiring has definitely slowed down. I mean, if I
Mm.
have to say that in last 8 weeks, last I mean quarter, I'm seeing the hiring has slowed down. I wouldn't say that hiring has fully stopped. Right? You would see 85% of the people here in UAE are still immigrants, right? So people. I mean, we are seeing the restrictions around travel, etc. But we are seeing companies have now again. We are seeing it. Things are started going back to normal, and especially here in UAE, we are slowly seeing market is opening up again, and like there is a recent survey again being done here. 50% of the employers are still going to add new workforce to their population. So they're going to, I mean, they're going to be new jobs and new opportunities. So first, it had slowed down and it has started opening up again. So that's one thing which I would like to call out. Second, I would say employers are preferring the low risk hires. When I say low risk hire, people who are locally available in UAE. So there are people who are physically present in UAE. Earlier, it used to be like people used to do all these remote interviews and get hired. Employer used to sponsor their visa travel. People used to get here and then maybe start their job. But I'm now seeing that employers are preferring the talent which is locally available. So if you're physically present here, the likely chances of you getting an interview or a job are like 5x more than you being remote. So that's the second thing I'm seeing. Third, now this is everywhere and this is no different to UAE, but we are seeing here like most the shift towards skills over degrees, right? Uh, like hiring for skills, not hiring for your potential, hiring what you can do versus just college you came from and what degrees you hold. So
Yep.
we are seeing, I mean, uh, uh, one of the thing, I mean, the shelf life of a skill is like absolutely shrink. So you'll have to people who are adapting with AI, using AI to do their jobs more effectively, efficiently, have the I mean, right level of knowledge around using all these large language model tools, etc. I mean, definitely you will have some advantage over there. So there's a massive shift towards skills over degrees, and very importantly, I mean, I would say some of the sectors where we are seeing a lot of hiring is AI and tech. Of course, in one hand, we are seeing jobs are going away, but in another hand, at the same time, the new jobs are getting created in AI and tech.
Mhm.
UAE is also the financial hub, so it's not
Right.
just a financial hub for UAE and overall Middle East as a whole. So there are a lot of new jobs getting created in finance, especially in I would say crypto world or blockchain, etc. So that's another thing I would like to call out. And maybe then tourism and hospitality gonna start opening again, and UAE as a government has maybe gonna invest a lot more in reopening the economy to the people, because tourism is quite big. So anything which is to do with hospitality, tourism, etc., we're gonna see more jobs there. So I mean, those are some of the trends I'm seeing. Anything specific you have, Arjun, I'll be happy to follow back.
Yeah, one of the things that is interesting, kind of a point here. I mean, there are many interesting ones. One is that you're saying you're seeing a clear shift in employers preferring those who are there on ground, right? Can we talk a little bit more about that aspect? And I'll touch upon some of the other things you have shared as well, like the historical, uh, you know, impression of being a financial hub, but now also getting a lot of tech talent given the recent developments. I think there was certain AI related investments that happened,
Absolutely.
because of which the economy is obviously getting a huge boost for tech. But before that, I just want to understand the other aspect around companies preferring immigrants to be there physically. Isn't that sort of a risk for many folks who might be already in full-time jobs also in India or other parts of the world, to just go there without a job in hand, to UAE, and hope that they would land one? So what is the typical scenario you are seeing when potential immigrant candidates are undertaking that journey?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can take up a personal example, right? When I moved last year here I moved here because I mean I had an internal movement within the same organization, but my wife was when we decided to move from Singapore to UAE. My wife started looking out for a job, and when we actually landed here, and she started actually then reaching out to the potential recruiters and for referrals and things like that. She getting a call for a job interview, we saw that uptick. So definitely, I mean, there is some form of a risk involved there, and not everyone can be physically present. In those cases, I would highly encourage people to not take any blind approach of just taking your CV and uploading it everywhere. I mean, 60 to 70% of the jobs in UAE get filled through referrals. So it's very important you not just go and start asking for or applying for a job, but go and ask for help. Go and ask for an advice to potential recruiters, consultants, any reference you find where you're potentially seeing open jobs and your profile is relevant. So asking for help, asking for an advice would go a long way if in case you're not I mean, it's not possible for you to be physically present. But from an employer perspective, right, if you are already in UAE, if you can join immediately, and there is a
Yeah,
minimum visa risk from their perspective, and you have, let's say, some form of proven local experience, then of course you as a candidate will have some preference over any remote candidate. So that's a quick one.
got it. Understood. So, we have a couple of questions already coming in from the audience here. One of the question which is very much related to what you were just talking about is a question from Dinesh. I think I can show it up here on the screen as well. So Dinesh's question is, does being on ground requirement changes with the seniority level of the roles? And he's been hearing different views on this. That's a very relevant question. What do you think? And by the way, just one thing here, Rajesh, is that majority of our community members are generally, I would say, at least 6, 7 plus years experience, all the way till like 20, 25 years experience. So I think this would be a question on many people's mind right now.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, see, seniority, of course, I mean, depending on the role criticality and seniority involved, uh, you, of course, there is I mean, most of these roles, I mean, if they're not able to find a local person, of course, preference would be given to a remote candidate in those cases. There are hiring happening for remote candidates also. That's also something we see all the time. Uh, and I mean, for seniority, senior roles, one thing I would like to call out is I mean, reference plays a big role. And when I say, I mean, not everyone knows everyone in companies here, but in those cases, I would definitely like you to reach out to the relevant recruiters, people within the organization. Maybe, as I said, ask for help, ask for advice, and things like that. So that would go a long way. Most of the applications nowadays are get processed through an ATS, through an AI. So the likely chances, if you're just using your CV and trying to upload everywhere, even though if you got a strong profile, might not get shortlisted. So having a reference, having that some form of personalized touch in your application process on how you approach it, who you approach it, what sort of cover letters, what sort of like even nowadays, I mean, with some of the tech roles, right? Uh, what's in it for them if you were doing some kind of projects using like I can give you an example, right? There is a tool called like Emergent where you can use this no code platform to build any application. So one of the candidate who applied, he himself first built the tool using their application, and he sent that link that look using your I mean, using your tool, I built this application, and that's how he got the attention of the people there, and eventually, I mean, the long story short, he got selected. So having
Yeah,
that personalized touch, that element will go a long way versus just taking a blindfold approach of putting your CV everywhere and waiting for that recruiter's call.
got it. Got it. Yeah, I think the personalized approach is something that, to be very honest, I think it works really well, or at least much better than one size fit all generic applications that we have seen people blast to many employers on these job boards. I think applying directly on the company website and also reaching out to people, like you said, at the company with a more personalized application definitely works so much better. Um, what I also wanted to understand quickly, Rajesh, is the fact that there are certain ways, perhaps is it possible to work remotely at all for a UAE company, or is that not something that people can do?
See, I'm mostly I'm not seeing that trend. I mean, see, uh, like it's simple, right? If you want a job, you can work remotely. If you want a career, you have to go and uh, hmm, hmm, work. So I at least have that hybrid approach. You have to go and work in office, because that's how we see collaboration. That's how we see your working with the teams. That's how you lifting each other, growing in the career. I mean, uh, so, and especially here in UAE, right? A lot of importance has been given to showing up. You have to like showing up in the office, showing up in at workplace is
Right.
extremely important. So I wouldn't. I mean, and most of the jobs, right? Whether if you're in healthcare, you're in tourism, if you're in logistics, if you are in like real estate is huge here in Dubai, in UAE. All these jobs, there's no way can be any remote position there.
Like
It,
finance jobs, I
yeah,
mean, don't is there
and
possibility of finance jobs being remotely done from outside UAE or not really?
again, very selected few, I would say, and I mean, giving that uh, offering that flexibility to going to I'm you're up for like in office job, and even okay for hybrid job, that would increase your chances of
I guess the
uh,
other thing is, if there are few jobs, or you said like hiring is kind of dampening a little bit, there are fewer openings, and there are a lot of on ground candidates available to the employers, then why would they necessarily go for remote? I think the only reason somebody might, in those situations, go for remote hiring is if it's a cheaper hire, right? You might have certain people who are working outside UAE for a lower salary compared to the talent on ground, but you're saying you're not seeing a lot of that, right?
yeah, and overall, see, UAE has like never fully adopted remote jobs as a thing. Even post COVID, they eventually like went back to offices pretty quickly, and
Right.
so many banks, like even in finance, right? So many banks, especially banks, are like 100% office, right? If you're going in finance and some of the maybe uh, consulting and big fours and things like that, you might get some flexibility. But I'm still seeing, like, we work with a lot of partners here, which are big four. We work with a lot of financial institutions, even banks. We do see people going back to the offices.
Okay. Okay. Got it. There's one more question here. I'll take it up right away. And thank you, folks, for sharing your questions. Makes for a more interactful discussion. But the question is from Rohit, and it is for job seekers. Can you please share some avenues, communities, events that would help them with networking and accessing right people? Not to obviously take too much time on highlighting what we do at Pivot, but I do want to share the fact that we have connected 10,000 plus professionals with other industry experts and peers through our communities. That is one of the biggest things that we do, where we connect individuals to folks in your target role and industry, for both mentorship guidance, as well as just for networking referral purposes as well. So definitely check out Pivot if that is one of the goals you have, is to connect with more people within your industry, Rohit. But yeah, apart from that, I think Rajesh, what would help is maybe if you can share some maybe country specific, like UAE specific communities, if any, that you are aware of. Um, yeah, that would be quite helpful, because I think otherwise, if you're just thinking about general communities like LinkedIn and certain other ones which are not company specific, or sorry, country specific or industry specific, they are very generic. It's hard to kind of create connections there. You're just kind of like absorbing a lot of content that might be created, but you're not really meeting a lot of new people or building meaningful relationships. So yeah, if you could just tell us what are the best communities you have found in UAE.
Yeah, I mean, this is a good question, and likes of pivot, right? I mean, see, there are meetups happen here. I've seen a lot of networking events happening. They got hosted online, and I mean, on LinkedIn and meetups and few other platforms. Personally, I'm not familiar with many of them, but I've seen what has worked for people when you don't have a like uh, networking is the hiring system here. That's very important, right? 60-70% jobs, as I said, gets filled through referrals and through the
Yeah.
network. So the best one of the thing I would say, which might also work for your audience, is there are these niche hiring consultancies. Like if you're looking for jobs in banking, finance, there are like specific niche consultancies who are just working on those jobs. So uh, reaching out to them would always help. There are then, if you're looking for jobs in tech, there are then specialized, I would say, agencies, hiring agencies, who are just fulfilling the tech roles. Reaching out to them might go a long way. If you are an immigrant, not able to come here, do those networking events, etc. I mean, these are some of the things I would recommend. And as I said, not like, don't ask for job, ask for help, ask for an advice, right? Build some good connections that might get, like, that might open few doors for you.
That's very helpful. Thanks for sharing that. I'm sure there are certain communities, perhaps that might be country specific as well. Rohit, you might want to just look them up. Perhaps even a GPT search or a Google search would share some good results. But I think, yeah, definitely there are communities like Pivot that you should check out. Outside of Pivot, also there are certain others where you can connect with folks based in UAE in different domains and industries. Let's move on. So, Rajesh, the other thing that I wanted to talk about is, I mean, you've highlighted networking as one of the most important things in job search. It's sort of the system for hiring right now. What I wanted to understand is now, like in the current context of hiring being a little slow versus demand for roles from candidates being high. So, are you seeing any new job search strategies specifically in this kind of a market which are working better? You talked about, also personalized touch, for example, where you're not blasting the same exact resume or same exact kind of outreach messages to the people you are reaching out to. So, can you maybe share what kind of personalization typically works, or if there's anything else you have seen is working better in the last 1 or 2 months since the war has started and hiring has slowed down?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, applying blindly online, definitely not a good strategy. What are some of the good things which might, I mean, I would call them as few tips. So one, I mean, adapting your CV with now large language models, it's easier, but I would say really looking at company's profile, what they're looking for some of the ideal profiles. Like if you are, let's say, looking for I'm just taking a role called maybe principal consultant in ENY. I'm just taking a role. So, really going and checking some of the profiles of principal consultant on LinkedIn and seeing what skills they have, what background they have, and if there is a way you can personify even your profile around the ideal candidate, that might go a long way. So I would say adapting your CV to the requirements, so that brings that personalization element, and also it will significantly increase like your chances of even getting your profile shortlisted through AI and through various screening tools nowadays organization uses. Second, also looking for the adjacent roles. So not like
Mm.
titles varies across the organization, they do vary across countries, right? So you might be in a consultant role, or a software engineer role, or a software engineering analyst role, or an analyst role, or a business analyst role in India. There might be very so many other transferable roles, or adjacent roles you might find here in UAE where your profile might fit. So being open to adjacent roles, being open to taking on some new responsibilities on, or being open to some new roles might also help. That would of course increase your I mean, don't wait for a perfect role is what I would say. That's the second thing. Then of course, I mean, in the current scenario, if you prep like I mean, this might be very personalized to every individual, and depending on at which stage you are. But some of the salary expectations and things like that, that also eventually helps you in the further down selection process. So, uh, yeah, I mean, those are two three things. And again, one of the thing is trying to be very creative when you are. I mean, if you ask me if I have to today I have to go in the today's job market. If I've been given an option to apply for a 25 position versus just three positions, I would choose rather like three positions, take a very personalized approach, really understand what companies I'm applying for, what's in it for them when they hire me. And maybe doing a small project, maybe doing some small work, that this is how I might add value. And these are some of the things I've done thorough research on your organization and on the role. And this is why I'm the right fit. I see myself as the right fit for this role. So those
Yeah,
things might will definitely, I mean, I would say increase chances of getting shortlisted and also down selected.
right. No, thanks for sharing that. I think we have been getting a lot of questions. Clearly, there's a strong demand for this particular topic here. So, given that we don't have a lot of time left, Rajesh, I had many other questions actually prepared, but I think I'll be taking up some of the audience questions here. This one is an interesting one. I don't think we have gotten a lot of this, but maybe this is sort of under the radar kind of a question, which is what are your views on diversity hiring? Although nobody will accept this formally, but I have heard from a lot of people that there's a country wise cap. Very interesting. Is this something we know that a majority of immigrants are coming from specific countries in UAE? I think everybody's aware of that. But are there caps? I mean, I'm sure you can't say that formally or maybe informally, but if you can share your thoughts on this.
Yeah, see, there are, I wouldn't fully deny that, but I would say there are people who have like broken these caps and all the glass ceilings we see, and you 40% of the population is still Indians. I do see a lot of people. I mean, if your audience is mostly, I assume, coming from India, so I've seen people from India are in some really leading and key positions across organizations here. So, uh, yeah, I mean, I would say they have definitely challenged whatever caps we all talk. And yeah, I mean, diversity is very well welcomed in this country because 85% people are still immigrants coming from more than 200 different countries. And especially coming from Indians are quite well respected, I would say. They're welcome for their hardworking with nature, the skills. So yeah, as a I mean, I would say Indians are in a pretty good spot here, and
Right.
easier for you to find people and really network with them, and maybe uh, uh, mm, get that first recruiter call.
Sure. Okay. Um, let's take the next one here. So this one is from Ishika, and the question is: since many roles in UAE ask for experience, can a fresher legitimately overcome this barrier without prior local experience? I think that's a very good question as well. Um, I think I have a viewpoint here as well, but I would first want to hear Rajesh yours.
Yeah, I mean, see, the first thing for freshers, I would say be open. It's very important. Don't go for that perfect role. If you're an experienced, I understand the constraints. But if you are a fresher, a lot of opportunities, and you are being evaluated for your potential, not for your degree. So, as far as you demonstrate the learnability and adaptability and that flexibility and being open to take up on any challenge role coming your way, I think that's very welcomed here. Feel free to add, Arjun.
Yeah, I think that's a very valid angle that you added to that question, Rajesh. I was not actually going to talk much about that one, but I do feel that based on my experience, it can be relatively difficult for freshers to land a role directly in UAE, and for that matter, in many other countries around the world when we are targeting roles outside India. I think there are multiple reasons for it. I won't spend too much time. I mean, the main reason is primarily because you don't have a any experience, and b you don't have a knowledge of the sort of regional norms, working styles, a network. So all of that becomes a bit hard because for experienced professionals, at least you can showcase certain skills and experience which might align with the company requirements. But when we are thinking about freshers, we don't have the skills and experience to showcase. So I think that's the major challenge. Now, how do we solve for it? I think in the uh, near future, if you can somehow start focusing on building demonstrable experience during your college itself, what that means is you can do certain internships, you can build certain projects of your own depending on which roles you're in. So, for example, we are seeing a lot of engineers, a lot of product managers, lot of, let's say, designers and marketers, strategy ops professionals. So it depends on which role you're in, but many of these people are not waiting for a job to be handed to them to gain demonstrable experience. They are taking that sort of agency into their own hands and building something while they are still in college or right after college. um, I'll give one example. There's an individual we recently worked with. He actually decided to take a gap after college because he was preparing for UPSC and certain other competitive exams and as such. Things did not work out. He wanted to then finally go into the workforce, and he actually wanted to transition to a different country. And what we saw there that worked really well was, because he didn't have any prior experience, he actually ended up choosing um, policy space as one of his target roles because he had been preparing for UPSC. Now, in policy, it can be very hard to build a portfolio or build something that you can showcase as a demonstrable experience. But he wrote a lot of research papers. He took the initiative on his own to write those. Nobody asked him to do them. He also prepared certain policy analysis, which again is something that nobody asked him to do as part of job applications. He started doing that, and uh, slowly but surely he started getting some callbacks from the job market. Right now, that is something that is not 100% guaranteed it will work, but it maximizes your chances when you can showcase some level of initiative taking to build projects, to build even like research papers for that matter. So you got to be creative. If your role is not easy, to create a portfolio for. Like we get a lot of people in certain roles saying like, oh, I don't know how to create, like in finance for example, it's not easy to have a portfolio for finance professionals. But think about, building valuation models, think about building P&L statements and doing very in-depth analysis on those. So that's the new age or new era of job seekers going beyond just a resume and LinkedIn profile. Um, yeah,
Absolutely.
I think just wanted to highlight that. But Ishika, if there are any other specific questions, do feel free to reach out to me or to Rajesh later. You can connect with us on LinkedIn as well if you'd like. We can move on to the next question here, Rajesh. This is from Dinesh, and I think again a very, I would say, geopolitics centric kind of question here, which is that see a flurry of relevant roles from financial institutions I'm connected to, and to quite a few CFOs, FDs in UAE, but I get to hear that many of these roles are under pressure for emiratization. What's
Yeah.
the best way to land a role? Does landing in UAE for 2-3 months on sabbatical leave would be suggested? Um, I think, I mean, Rajesh, I would defer to you and your experience, but I think you did mention that being on ground has an advantage over
Yeah.
not being in the country, right?
Absolutely. It has, and see, emiratization is given. It's like, I mean, we are seeing it everywhere. But to be honest, I mean, there are more opportunities than the local, group here, right? So, uh, of course, as I said, more than 50% of the employers have said they're gonna increase their workforce in 2026. So definitely there are going to be more opportunities. If you see, there is a whole new city getting built where UAE has invited and welcoming all the Fortune 500 companies to come and set up their base, so which is also going to create more opportunities for immigrants. So I don't see this as a, a constraint. I would just say that there are more opportunities out there. Uh, and I mean, of course, emiratization is there. I am not denying that. And also, I mean, for senior folks, just one thing I would like to add. Uh, if UA is something you're really targeting, it's on your priority list, then if you could take like invest 3 6 months of your time in really learning Arabic and want to go for these some of the, like, government is opening a lot of jobs, right, for immigrants. Lot of local institution, banks, government, public sector organizations. If you really want to get down selected there, get their attention, and if you could at least speak some basic Arabic, I think your chances of getting um, I would say shortlisted are much higher than a non-Arabic speaker.
So language you're saying is an advantage if possible to have basic understanding of Arabic.
Yeah, I mean, that's why, right? If UA is your like a really
Yeah.
want
But
to
tell me one thing, I mean, there's so many immigrants in UAE from various countries, even for example, Europe, it's not just Asia. Um, is that like the language requirement, is that pretty prevalent out there? Or do you think it's an up and coming thing which is becoming more of a requirement in recent times?
uh, see. Pretty much most of the business, I mean, I can't speak Arabic and I can't even understand basic Arabic. Okay.
Mm.
I'm Where I'm coming from, if you're looking for those government roles, you're
Right.
looking for a public sector role, the government is bringing, like, opening a lot of jobs for immigrants. Okay. And of course, as a country, they prefer to like also have Arabic to coexist alongside English, and English is still a business language here. If you just, I mean, want to increase your chances of getting into these government institution, uh,
Right.
then Arabic, it will be an edge. It's not a necessity. And all the global organizations who have set up their base here, uh, Arabic is nowhere mandatory.
Mandatory requirement. Yeah, no, that's an interesting thing because we work with certain a group of professionals who are targeting Europe, Western European countries like Germany and
Yeah,
Netherlands and the Nordic countries, and even their language is a pretty important criteria, much more than it is in UAE actually. We have seen, like, if you're targeting a role in the Western Europe, you should definitely know the basic local
absolutely.
language there.
Yeah.
So that's important point to be highlighted. We'll take the next question here quickly, Rajesh. It's a long one. I won't be able to show it to the screen here.
Okay.
Um, or maybe let's try. Yeah, it's quite long, but let me try and basically summarize it. So the question that Saket is asking is that, number one, he has 8+ years experience in B2B across SaaS and a couple of other industries. And a consistent theme that he has seen in UAE is that while revenue critical roles remain active, companies have become more selective, with UAE experience being one of the preferences. So he's asking if having local or UAE experience is a major decision criteria in hiring for
Absolutely.
especially the revenue centric roles. So I guess maybe the sales, marketing, and P&L leadership kind of roles,
Yeah.
is local UAE experience important? And the second question he has is, would being physically present in UAE for a short period? I think we have already discussed that 2 3 times. So yeah, maybe we'll talk about the first question here.
Yeah, I think great question, Saket. So, see, and yes, the local experience is important because every market has its own local nuances. And if you are especially in sales and go-to-market role, how the local market functions, how the decisions are being made, how you're gonna navigate those complex sales cycles in the enterprise environment. Of course, there are some. You have this global sales playbook, but there are local nuances. And if you have a local experience of selling it to local banks, local government, public sector organization, local enterprises, that would be given uh, that would be given a preference over your experience maybe in India or outside of UAE experience, I would say. But the way you may overcome this is, do a lot of research around UAE, the enterprise cells here in the region, how. Hmm. like if you are able to being like spot those differences on selling in UAE versus selling in India. I mean, I would say 70-80% of the things you end up doing like similar roles and responsibilities. But what are those local nuances you will have to take into consideration when you come here and start doing the same job? How you gonna overcome some of those challenges? How you gonna quickly learn some of those local specific nuances? If you could do some research, get some guidance from people who are already doing that job here, I think that might open up opportunities for you.
Okay,
Yeah.
fair. I think that was very well answered. Thanks for the detailed insights, Rajesh. Rajesh, just one last thing. I think then we can probably wrap things up. There is something known as job seeker visa. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that. Is that something that is popularly used in UAE, where somebody who is not gotten a job yet but can visit UAE specifically for looking for a job, or do people just come on other visas, like tourism or something else, to typically look for a job? I'm just asking as somebody, just assuming, like, there may be people who have no idea about
Yeah.
UAE's visa structure.
See, I mean, to be fully honest and transparent here, if you're coming to UAE, it's going to be not just your job; it's leisure and your and of course, it's not a trip vested. Even if you couldn't find a job, so easier and fastest way to do this is you can always get a just your tourist visa that gets usually like within a couple of days, and uh, it has got a very good proximity with India. So you can always plan your travel, maybe plan few coffee meetings, etc. With potential, maybe as I said, agencies, recruiters, any connections you could establish, and uh, use those threads to make inroads. But yeah, from a visa perspective, I would say tourist visa is much faster, easier, efficient option.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it for today, Rajesh, and folks who have joined us. Thank you so much for making time. Um, I think we covered a lot of ground, a lot of different types of insights with regard to UAE job market. I think some of the key takeaways that I have is number one, on ground experience, and being there when you're looking for a job definitely has an advantage over not having local experience. Um, I think the other thing Rajesh pointed out was the language requirement is becoming a bit more prevalent, especially if you're targeting government sponsored companies or government backed companies. I think third thing was the personalization that Rajesh touched upon when you're applying. Try not to be very homogeneous or very generic in your applications. Try to customize. And one of the points around fresher hiring we shared was that it can be a bigger challenge for freshers because you don't have local experience or any experience for that matter. So whatever you can do to gain some experience through internships, side projects, volunteer work, freelancing, whatever it is, try and gain that so you can be a stronger candidate in the market. With that in mind, I think we are ready to call it a day for today. And thank you again so much, Rajesh, for being here. Appreciate all your time and your insights. And folks, if you're looking for support in your transition to the next role, please do check out Pivot. Um, there are a lot of free resources as well that could be very helpful in terms of transitioning from one country to another, or how to build portfolios as we talked about, or personalize your resume. And if you have any questions, do reach out to Rajesh and to myself. Either you can reach out to us on Pivot, where the website handle is mypivot.work, or you can also reach out to us on LinkedIn, whichever you prefer. That's it for today. I hope you all have a great rest of your evening. Thank you.
Thank you for having me, Arjun. Thanks, team.